La commedia in quarantena. We are beginning right now. Oh, where is my colleague Emanuele Capoan? Capoan, ¿dónde stai? Capoan.
¿Dónde stai es español? Ma tu hables la t-shirt de prisoner, le prisoner.
Sto in galera. I am in jail.
But in quarantine, we are all in jail.
All in jail, in quarantine.
Especially theatrantis, theatrandum et teatro della Commedia in Quarantena with Pazzi Lazzi, because today we have, I don't know which language I'm talking about. I'm speaking about. I'm speaking with.
But you are dottore. It's fine if you mix the languages, right?
Yes. Today we mix another an anachronism. What is an anachronism?
An anachronism, I don't know.
Wait. Sabastiani will tell us about.
Yes, Sabastiani. I'm so happy to have somebody from my own hometown, Bostonia. And here we are with J. Cross and Catherine Crow.
Hey. Thank you, Jay, and thank you, Catherine Kat, for being a la Commedia in Quarantena.
Oh, you're very welcome. We're happy to be here.
It's a delight.
It's so good to see you, and we know each other in person, so you know.
I miss hugging you.
I know. It's pretty bad. It's pretty bad that we cannot see each other in person, but you know.
Yeah. What we can do a line. Wait. We can do a hug. This is a hug.
Oh, hug.
Can I go to?
So guys, welcome to La Commedia in Quarantena. I am Chiara Durazzini, artistic director of Pazzi Lazzi and co-founder of Pazzi Lazzi, along with my colleague here, Emanuele Capoano. So I am in Boston, Emanuele is in New York, and you guys, Catherine and Jay, are in Boston too.
Very close.
So I usually tell people how I know you. I know the guest, right, in this live. And I still remember when I came to Boston in 2000, I Googled, well, I don't know if there was Google then, maybe. Let's say I researched Commedia dell'Arte in Boston because, you know, I was already a Commedia actress, and I saw Sabastiani, yes. But then I had kids, and that's another story.
I know what that's like.
Exactly. But so you are a company who've been here in Boston for a long time, right? Tell us a little bit about you.
Well, so we started in 1990 was the beginning of this troupe. That the founder was a friend of ours named Jeff Hatalski, who within the Society for Creative Anachronism was called Sebastian. And so we had this long argument about what should we call ourselves, and there was a lot of, and one of the history majors from Harvard said, you know, what we really should call ourselves is I Sebastiani, because we are those of Sebastian.
We are Sebastian's troupe.
Right. Now, it's also fun to think, well, yeah, but maybe we're more like Saint Sebastian, who, you know, suffered the slings and arrows of outrageous fortune, or critics, or but however you want to describe it, somehow we became I Sebastiani, and that it was in part because Sebastian was our founder. Now, Sebastian was with us for only the first 5 years, and then he decided that there were other things that were priorities for him, and he wanted less drama in his life. So,
or less comedy.
there's the drama.
Yeah, you know, in these troops, there's always both of them, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think he liked the comedy but didn't like the drama. So he left, and I took over. I was also a founding member. Now, he and I had both learned some things about Commedia dell'Arte through the Society for Creative Anachronism before that. The 4 or 5 years before that, there was a group in Ithaca, New York, Gli Illuminati, they were called. And
The what? Say it again?
Gli Illuminati.
Ah, gli Illuminati. Nice
Right.
name.
And so they performed for 2 or 3 years, and then they were a college-based group, and they went their several ways. But along the way, they taught some classes, and Jeff and I both attended those classes and had a good time there. And then in 1989 into 1990, we performed Much Ado About Nothing, Shakespeare's play, with a lot of the rest of people that were in the Society for Creative Anachronism in the Boston area. And at the end of it, we wanted to stay together because we liked the kind of team and camaraderie of being together, but we did not want to memorize lines.
I wonder why.
Yeah. So
Such a pain. Such a pain.
yeah, well, there's good things and bad things about it.
You like it, Catherine?
I like it. I like scripted and unscripted theater.
The downside is working with a lot of people that are bad about memorizing.
True.
So, in any case, so we talked about doing something different, and Sebastian, Jeff came up with the idea that we should form a Commedia troupe. And so we started getting together on Thursday nights at first, and then we shifted to Tuesday eventually, to practice it and try to understand what the art form was. And at that point, we really mostly only had Duchart's book. And so, we knew some things based on what Duchart had written.
Yeah, I have it right here.
I've got my copy.
Yeah, no,
Right.
It's good for the description of the characters.
Oh yeah, no, I don't dismiss it as useless. It's just that now we know a lot more.
Right.
It's a little dated, right? It's a little dated.
Yeah. So we had Duchart's book, and we also had the Flaminio Scala book, the first translation, and so eventually after months of trying to say, okay, well, we can do this, we can do that, and establishing characters and working on things. Remember, none of us knew anything about this at this point, right? And we're starting with no masters teaching it to us. So we just had some things, but in the Society for Creative Anachronism, we're focused on from the year 1600 and before, right? And Isabella Andreini died in 1604, so we can finesse that a little bit. But
Queen Elizabeth died in 1603, so that's kind of the.
And so the Gelosi troupe, was active from 1560 something up to 1604, and that. A lot of the stuff in the Scala book we were assuming at first was talking about what the Gelosis did. Turns out maybe it's more the Medici weddings and a all-star cast or something. But went back then 30 years ago, that's what we thought. So we're working with the Scala characters and what kinds of things were there, and the Scala scenarios by themselves had some problems in terms of how you could play them. Among the problems are not enough female characters. Entrance and exits aren't really accurate in those books. That they, somebody will enter and then they never leave. Yeah, and that some of the humor is about things that you really can't talk about anymore. Right? That there's a lot of very anti-Semitic things in the first one of those plays.
Yeah.
And so you never see anybody performing day one, right? That's just not in the book anymore. But there's other things too that now we don't do so much anymore. That in our early days we did, but now it's not right for us to embarrass Pantalone by getting him caught wearing women's clothing, right?
I mean, some of the Lazzi are not working for us anymore, right?
Right. Yeah.
I find the scenarios of Flaminio Scala, I mean, they're fascinating, and some are, wow, this is Shakespeare, right? I mean, some have so much in common with the typical plot of those times.
Absolutely.
So it's very fascinating to read them, but to stage them, they are very convoluted and long, I think.
Yeah.
And you guys are lucky, because compared to us Pazzi Lazzi, that we are it's mainly me, and then I have some actors, Emanuele if he can come, and I have Riccardo, and I have Liz Adams, who is a very good actress, and then I have my musician Dan, who however is not an actor. So we tend to do very short and shows with not many people or characters. But you guys are pretty lucky on that side, because we are a big group.
We are.
Certainly,
How many people? Yeah.
We always say once you're in, you're never out. You can always come back. So our full roll is probably
about 200
people.
Well, in terms of everybody who's ever performed with us,
right,
it might be close to 200.
But our typical shows, I would say, are 8 to 10.
Yeah, sometimes 11 or 12.
Go up to 12 or 13. Sometimes as small as 5. But our typical,
which is good, a high number for the Scala's scenario, right?
Yes.
I mean, they have a lot of characters. So we Pazzi Lazzi could never stage them unless, as you Jay saw me in Isabella Unmasked, unless I do all the characters.
Right. Or unless we collaborate.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
We're currently working on an adaptation of a Scala scenario. We're working on The Postman, which is a new one for us. And the original Jay had, 12 characters? And we're doing it with 9.
11.
11. The original had 11.
Yeah, we're only down 1. The only character we really cut out was the Postman.
Right.
That is the title.
Well,
we gave the job to one of the servants instead.
In the original play, not to get too geeky about this, but just because I worked hard on this in the last month or two. In the original play, there were 2 different people delivering letters in the play. One was the nameless postman, who shows up and is only there for 2 scenes in Act 1, and then a few scenes later comes in Buratino. And Buratino has letters, and that. So what we did instead was we said, well, it would make a lot more sense to have Buratino deliver the first 2 letters because they're urgent, and then go to the inn, and then come back out again and have all the other letters. Right?
Sounds much more efficient to me.
Well, and the other thing
also, you don't have an actor just devoted to doing the first 2 scenes of the play.
Yeah.
Right, because how do you keep somebody like that interested in helping you, right? That's very hard. Yeah. And so the other thing that's a problem with a lot of the Scala scenarios is that they're very unbalanced in terms of how many scenes an individual has, right? You'll have actors that appear in Act 1 for 4 or 5 scenes, and then they show up again at the end of Act 3 to marry somebody, and that's all they are. Yeah. And so,
on the other side of the scale too, I remember when we did the Alexandrian carpets, and Brighella never leaves Act 3. He's got to remember all of Act 3 because he never gets to leave.
Yeah. So
I like the fact that you said they're kind of unbalanced, right?
Right. Yeah, and what we like to do as a troupe, we're kind of an ensemble cast, that we want to make sure that within reason, every actor has about the same amount of time on stage, right? So, in our rewriting of The Postman, there's some extra activities for Franceschina, the servant girl, because she only appeared early in Act 1 and then shows up at the end of Act 3 to marry Pedrolino.
Right.
But she had a lot of other things that she could do, right? One of the things she can do is convey, what's going on between the lovers and why it's a problem and things like that. And what I suspect is that she did those things in the performance, and Scala just didn't even really think about it. It was like, oh yeah, the servant girl, right? I don't need to talk about that, so when we take a Scala scenario, we kind of look at it and say, well, how could you perform this with a group of people that actually are all interested in being in this play, and just tweak it a little bit, and that's how it works.
And then it works.
And sometimes you just need the brainstorm to realize what it is that's going on. Like, I'm thinking of the Two Faithful Notaries.
Oh yeah.
We read it and we were like, there's so much going on. This could really work, but there's something missing. There's a key that we're missing, the key to why this is so funny. And I think it was one of our actresses, Jennifer, who said, wait, I know what the key is. The key is the whole first act is in the dark. It's at night and nobody can see each other. So we've got like the men are fighting with swords in the dark, so they can't see each other, and it's all just chaos.
That is funny.
The girls are taking the wrong boys because they're in the dark and they can't see anything. That's actually where the picture we sent you came from, because I think I'm coaxing my lover and it's actually the Dottore, who I don't want at all.
That is so funny. That is so funny.
Very funny. I have a question. Since you were talking about current theater, so Commedia dell'Arte was a popular theater much loved by princes and princesses. So, and I think you loved also the anachronism. You were mentioning the Society of Creative Anachronism. Let's talk about more.
Sure.
Kat or Jay, who wants to talk about?
Yeah, what is the relationship with the society, and what is this society?
Yeah,
We
so
touched on that a little bit in our history.
right, but so I first met Jeff Hatalski within this society. It's an organization of people that are interested in the Middle Ages and want to try to understand the history of the Middle Ages by sort of doing pieces of it. Right, not the whole thing, right? We don't want to do the plague. That's terrible, right? Pogroms, that's really awful. But so there's people in it that arts and science and combat skills, right? That people build metal armor and do sword fighting and
archery, all
we
sorts
have
of things. Big
battles with 1,000 people on a side, all in armor, just fighting each other. It's a very exciting thing. And so Jeff and I were both part of that. We'd lived in different places, but I eventually moved to the Boston area, and that's kind of how we hooked up with the theater stuff. Mm-hmm. But one of the ideas in the SCA, you're doing this, you want to understand as best you can how things were happening in the Middle Ages, right? That it's how did they do this? How did they do that? And there are some times when you want to get as authentic as possible about how you do it. Back a long, long time ago, I was a fabulous calligrapher, and Kat became my apprentice.
Yeah.
And Kat is now a fabulous calligrapher, and I'm an arthritic old man. But in any case, we're interested in trying to reproduce as faithfully as we can some things, but in a fun way, and that you can do drama and we've done like the morality plays and whatnot. They're kind of downer really, but
Oh, I like everything.
They were fun, but only fun because it's kind of fun to understand, what they were doing and what they were making fun of and what they believed. And Commedia is a fun vehicle for that, right? You can be very authentic and still be very engaging and really draw an audience. And I don't know how many people come to Pazzi Lazzi thinking, this will be fun, this will be hilarious. You seem to draw a very, dour intellectual crowd, who, and that's terrific, right? I'm one of them. But but in terms of our audience, we typically have many people that are having a very good time. They're embracing the cartoony aspects of what Commedia is, and
lots of kids.
Yeah, lots of kids.
Right.
But they're also very amused by the authentic references to life in the 16th century.
Okay.
Right. And
right.
Because we come out of that SCA framework, because we come out of that trying to keep ourselves in that Middle Ages mindset, we specifically, Sabastiani's one of our goals is to give people a really 16th century experience. So we try to have accurate costumes and accurate props. We make a lot of the props ourselves. So it doesn't look like something we picked up at Target. And
that is awesome. That is really admirable, I have to say. I love that, because we don't do that. We don't have time, nor energy, nor money. No, but that's amazing.
Even the words we choose, we try to keep it. We try not to let the lovers say they have a relationship, right?
Yeah, exactly. Give us some examples of some words that you have to ban. Like, for example, every time we improvise with Pazzi Lazzi to create some sketches or scenarios, and we usually make them up, I have to always reprimand the actors, guys, don't say okay. Overdone, right?
We try.
So give us some more examples, because this is a funny.
So
okay is a killer. But even the word car was a word in the 16th century, but now it means something so very different that we just wouldn't say it, because it would break that illusion that you're looking at something from the 16th century.
Correct.
Right. Now, Sebastian used to call these things swastika words, because the swastika was a period symbol. It means a lot different now than it did then. Right.
Exactly.
And so the point is that there's a lot of words where the word may have existed or may in translation have existed, but we don't use them because they mean something very different now. And but there's also just gestures, right? You don't look at your watch, right? What time is it? That's not a thing. People didn't have sundials on their wrist, and
no, that's definitely very, very fascinating. It's it's admirable too, because it's a lot of work if you think about it. It's not. It means that you guys take care of the details. Now, tell us something about this picture. I love it.
I love it.
I love it. We see Catherine here and Jay.
Yes. That's a fun picture. I love this.
What show was this?
This was from one of our original shows, because we do write our own scenarios as well. We don't just use historical material, but we try to write them in the style of the historical plays. And this was a play called Curses Foiled. And
right.
The idea was the crazy, the crazy magic lady who has come to town, and she is cursing everyone. So here I am cursing the Dottore. I forget what your curse was. Do you remember?
My curse was that I could not quote any books, anything, and so I needed to, and because I was afraid that everything had already been written, I had to invent my own language to get out of it.
I basically cursed you into muteness.
Right. And
the joke of it was that since Arlecchino is so good at just thinking outside the box, what we would say now, thinking outside the box, he would always find a workaround. Arlecchino would always find a way to counteract the curse. So and then it turned out at the very end, the big reveal, the big surprise ending was that Arlecchino was my son, my long lost son, who I had been looking for all these years, and that's why I was so angry about everything.
That is
Yeah.
fantastic. I love it. I love it.
That particular scenario I wrote specifically to have as many visual gags as we could build into it. That was a good scenario for being, you know, visual and having
Physical.
gags.
Right.
And
Like
physical.
I cursed the servant girl that she couldn't touch the ground.
Or couldn't
So she couldn't
she could put her feet on the ground, right?
She couldn't put her feet on the ground. So they ended up getting her some stilts, and she would walk around on stilts.
That
So
is
was a
awesome.
great physical play.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. No,
And-
that's
and-
fantastic. Sounds like fun. And now, guys, since we are titled La Commedia in Quarantena, tell us a little bit what you've done during the lockdown and if you produced anything, and consequentially, if you have anything, if you experimented with the new medium, which is this online stuff, everything on a screen.
Yeah, because we learned that the framework of the computer is the new stage, the new box, this new fourth
It
wall.
is.
Yeah,
And
like
in a,
this, like
in
this,
a
like this, like this.
completely off of Commedia, but very much in the tradition of comedy. It reminds me very much of Jim Henson,
Yeah,
realizing that he had the television screen and that it was his proscenium, and there were many things he could do with his puppets, with the Muppets, within the TV screen, and it reminds me of that very much. But yeah, I would say when the quarantine first started, we just took a few weeks off, expecting it would end soon. And then, of course, it didn't. And several of the actors said, well, why don't we try meeting online?
Yeah.
And that was very successful. And normally, Sabastiani does 2 shows in August. And so we started thinking, well, what if we tried to do one? Weren't sure we could really produce 2, just because this is the first time we've ever done this. But we said, well, why don't we try?
Mhm.
And so we decided to do The Postman that we were talking about before. And honestly, one marvelous thing about being in this format is we have a player who played with us for many years, very, very talented. I still want to call him a young man. He would say he's not a young man anymore, but he moved out to the middle of the country some years ago. But now in this format, he can come and play with us again,
see,
which is terrific.
it reminds me of someone else, like me with Chiara.
Yeah. Oh wow, that's a lot. That's a lot of fun. So, Emanuele, you want to ask anything else?
No, when is your new show? And talk
So
about
I'd like to say a couple of quick things. One is the new show is going to be August 2nd.
Okay.
Okay.
And as to exactly what time we're broadcasting, I think it's probably going to be 6:30 p.m. That's a
And then-
Sunday.
And it's the
With an
Postman.
encore.
I'm sorry. Is it the Postman?
Yes, it will be the
The
Postman.
title?
The
Yes,
Postman
or
is the
Il
title.
Postino or something like that.
Il
And
Postino.
where we can see it on your website?
As soon as we have that data available,
Okay.
we will definitely be posting it on Facebook and on the website and sharing widely.
Okay.
but it'll probably be something that we broadcast from Zoom out to our Facebook page.
Okay.
Right.
Now, I've been watching not Commedia, but I have some friends in Austin, Texas that do long form narrative improv, and that they've been doing 2 or 3 shows a week in this medium.
Mhm.
And so they've developed an awful lot of techniques and skills and procedures for how best to convey ideas when you are
Online.
trying to perform in this medium. And so I've been interacting with them a lot to get them to
Share
be as
some secrets.
well, to not only that, but to identify problems to overcome and to help them
Right.
to do that. And So
And I have to say it's very interesting because some of the actors, it takes them a while. Certainly for me, it took me a while to really just get the hang of this. And some of them they just get it. They're younger than
that's so natural, right?
When Chiara and I, we had a show for kids, I mean, 2 weeks ago, last week, we have to repeat more than once a scene because Chiara, we were like, where is Chiara?
Yeah, no,
Oh.
yeah. Fortunately, we decided to pre-record it. It wasn't live, a sketch between Emanuele and me, and thank goodness, because when we went to see the recording, we thought that we were interacting, talking to each other, and then I was completely the other way because of Zoom had reversed my frame. I mean, and you never know. So at the end we have to redo the scene, but I was looking the other way, talking to nobody, to my window, which is okay, but it was weird.
We discovered the same thing with Zoom, that you can't count on Zoom to put everybody in the same place on the same screen. Like for me, like looking right now, Chiara, you're above me, and Jay is to my right, but that's probably not so on your screen.
Actually, that's exactly the same for me too. But what we've determined from doing 60 or 70 of these shows like this is that the best thing to do is to only very rarely get a shot where you're looking to the side. That would be rare that you're talking to somebody on screen that way. That the audience is willing to imagine that there are N cameras, that each person that you're looking at, you're seeing from the point of view of whoever they're talking to, right? And so if I'm going to hand something to Kat, I don't hand it this way, I hand it this way.
And it may look a little bit different when I get it. Because I wasn't ready.
Right.
No, that's good advice.
But that's just sort of one example of kind of working with a medium, and thank goodness there are groups out there that have been like really aggressively, doing multiple shows a week to try it out.
Yeah, we've learned a lot. We've learned a lot just from the other groups that have been doing it.
Yeah, and yesterday night, I was watching online on lamama.org, which is an experimental avant-garde theater in New York. A fantastic show edited with Zoom, and it's called Erased. Check it out, Erased, and it's fantastic. Yeah.
Okay, I'll look for that. So La Mama, you said? Yeah,
lamama.org, and the show was Erased. I mean, the title was Erased.
The title is Erased.
Not that is actually erased.
Right. The title has been erased, but it used to be erased.
No, I've been arrested.
Gone. So, guys, listen. I think it's time to close. But it was wonderful to get an update with you. And in fact, please, as you said, Jay, share as much as possible your upcoming show, The Postman or Il Postino, because we all want to see it. We want to see what you guys came up with on Zoom or online for Commedia dell'Arte. Again, Emanuele and I and my musician sweated and cursed a little bit, but at the end we got a good result. So I'm curious about what you guys are gonna do. Why don't we close our event with our usual surprise me with your mask?
Let's go.
Sorprendetemi con la vostra maschera. Guaglione, so Pulcinella.
Arlecchino. Yeah. I love the Capitano.
Ooh.
I can't tell my papa the dottore. Don't tell my papa the dottore.
Dottore.
No, don't say it. My daughter, she cannot love the Capitano.
Capitano, I have a love letter for you.
Oh, Capitano.
Oh, oh, no, no, no.
But wait, your promise to Flavio.
Oh,
Yes,
Flavio. Flavio is boring.
You and the Capitano.
Flavio has no romance. The Capitano is so exotic. He is full of romance.
Yeah, look at him.
This letter is so good.
Oh,
What?
You
I mean-
hate it?
oh,
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 never.
I-
I poured my heart and soul into that letter.
daughter,
All
you.
right, I'm going back to Flavio.
Oh,
Brava, brava, brava. Well done. Well done.
Mm.
Bye guys. See you next time alla Commedia in Quarantena.
Thank you for having us. This was so much fun.
this was great.
Ciao guys.
Ciao.
Ciao. Ciao.
Arrivederci. Arrivederci.